This trail cam photo was taken on June 29, 2013, by the Duhan family, specifically a man named Jimmy Duhan, on their private land in Louisiana. On the surface, it looks like just another supposed Bigfoot picture. Nothing too shocking, nothing too dramatic. But the strange thing about this image is that the more you look at it, the more unsettling it becomes. And that's actually rare for Bigfoot photos. Most alleged Bigfoot shots try to show you exactly what you're supposed to see right away. Obvious in your face very often because the hoaxer wants it to be obvious. But this one is different. At first glance, it looks like nothing. But the longer you stare at it, the more the details begin to creep into focus, and the more convincing it starts to feel. The trail camera was set up on a large, rural, privately owned property, either by Jimmy Duhan himself or another family member. Like most trail cams, it was meant to track wildlife, probably for hunting. And as you can see, it was triggered during the daytime. What it captured was a strange, upright figure standing just to the left of a gray-green hunting blind. And coincidentally, or maybe ominously, you can see several crows or ravens feeding in the foreground. Something about that detail makes the English literature part of my brain start whispering that whatever's coming in this picture might not be good. When you zoom in on the figure, the obvious skeptical claim is that it's just a person, someone in dark clothing, or maybe some guy in a cheap Bigfoot suit. But the closer you look, the harder that explanation becomes to accept. Whatever this thing is, its proportions just don't match a human. It looks thick, heavy, oddly shaped. It's standing in this strange, bow-legged stance that isn't comfortable or common for people, and its arms appear unusually long, far longer than normal human limb ratios. The hunting blind next to it actually gives us a pretty good sense of scale. Not long after the photo went public, the team from Finding Bigfoot visited the site. They recreated the scene using one of their tallest guys, Bobo, who's nearly 7 feet tall. What they found was surprising. Even while standing bow-legged and, therefore, not at full height, the creature in the photo still appeared to be close to 7 feet tall. Sure, 7-foot-tall humans exist, but they usually aren't hanging out bow-legged next to a hunting blind. Deep in the middle of a private rural property, wearing a perfectly fitted gorilla suit made exactly to their size, something about this image just doesn't sit right. Some of the most intriguing evidence for Bigfoot doesn't come from photographs or eyewitness accounts at all. It comes from audio, mysterious recordings of eerie, unidentifiable sounds that even experts have struggled to explain. These recordings, collected from remote regions across North America, contain vocalizations unlike anything produced by any known animal or any human. One of the most famous examples is the Sierra Sounds, recorded by Ron Moorhead and Al Berry in the 1970s in the Sierra Nevada mountains. These recordings captured deep, guttural growls, strange whoops, and what some experts believe are actual linguistic patterns. Vocalizations that seem to resemble a form of language. Scott Nelson, a retired U.S. Navy cryptologist, analyzed the Sierra Sounds and came to a striking conclusion. The vocalizations have all the hallmarks of a language: phonemes, syntax, structure. These aren't random noises, and they're beyond the capabilities of humans to replicate without assistance. Nelson's findings have been backed by audio engineers and wildlife vocalization experts, who noted that the recordings contain a depth, power, and range far outside normal human ability. Dr. Lynn Rogers, a wildlife biologist, added, "The calls show an incredible range of pitch and frequency that doesn't match any known species, nor can they be written off as a hoax. It's unlike anything I've ever studied in the wild." This next photo comes from the team behind Extreme Expeditions Northwest, LLC, a group known for their Sasquatch research trips. According to the timestamp, it was captured in Washington State on Christmas Day, 2009. The image supposedly came from a motion-triggered trail camera set up during their 2012 Sasquatch expedition. Now, I'll be honest, I was skeptical from the start. Not because of what the photo shows, but because of the circumstances. The campsite had reportedly been stocked with food and scent attractants, specifically to lure in a Sasquatch. Whenever someone claims they baited Bigfoot and actually succeeded, I don't automatically call it fake. I do believe some people have seen these creatures while actively searching for them, but claims like that make me examine everything much more carefully. The image itself was taken at night, as you can tell, with the trail camera switched to infrared mode. The figure in the frame appears to be crouched or kneeling, digging through items on or right beside the picnic table. The posture is strange. The body shape even stranger. The head sits low, and like many alleged Sasquatch photos, the figure has no visible neck. Even though we only see a hint of the arms, they look thick and powerful. And unlike a bear, this thing has a very humanoid back and shoulder structure, just much wider, much thicker, and far more massive than any normal person. To test the proportions, I took a comparison photo with myself standing in the exact position of the supposed creature. I matched my angle and the angle of the picnic table as closely as possible. And even though I'm a large, fairly muscular guy, I don't come anywhere near the size or bulk of the figure in this trail cam photo. The creature seems covered in short, pale fur, a kind of whitish coat, thick but not long. That alone is unusual and worth noting. During my first examination of the photo, something in the bottom left corner kept catching my eye. At first it looked like trash, bags or some kind of plastic sheeting hanging off the edge of the picnic table bench. I assumed that material continued down behind the creature. But the more I looked at it, the more I started to wonder, are those really trash bags? Or are they feet, as in the feet of something kneeling? Maybe I'm imagining it, but it's hard to completely ignore once you've seen it. One of the most compelling details to me is the deep vertical groove, running straight down the creature's back. It separates the two halves of the back muscles, a feature you see in gorillas, great apes, and even well-built humans, but you don't see it in bears. That groove houses the spinal erector muscles, and unless someone knows anatomy really well, it's not something you'd think to add if you were faking a creature or wearing a suit. And if the picnic table is giving us anything close to accurate scale, then this thing's torso is unbelievably wide, especially considering it's positioned slightly farther from the camera than the table itself. Now, as with every modern Bigfoot photo, this one is far from conclusive. In a world where Photoshop and AI can create anything you want, a single still image can't prove much. But even so, this is a very strange silhouette. It has oddly correct anatomy, strange posture, massive proportions, and details that would be surprisingly difficult to fake convincingly. Could it be a hoax? Absolutely. But if you were intentionally staging a Bigfoot hoax, wouldn't you want a much clearer and more dramatic shot? Instead, this image shows just enough accurate anatomy to feel believable, while keeping just enough hidden to spark debate. And honestly, given the sheer size, shape, and anatomical weirdness of whatever this was, I find it hard to dismiss it entirely. So there you have it, 3 alleged Bigfoot photos. And when you look at them together, and you consider all the strange details across each one, the mystery only grows deeper. These reports don't just come from casual hikers or overexcited campers. They come from people who know the outdoors, seasoned hunters, police officers, park rangers, even members of the military. Some of the most credible stories come from professionals who've spent their entire lives studying wildlife. One particularly strong account comes from Dr. John Binder-Noggle, a wildlife biologist who spent decades examining evidence tied to Sasquatch. He shared an encounter passed on to him by a veteran hunter in British Columbia, Canada. The hunter watched the creature for several minutes. It was kneeling by a creek, drinking water with cupped hands. He described its massive shoulders, conical head, and dark, shaggy hair. The hunter told me, "I've hunted bears and moose my whole life, and I know what I saw. This wasn't a bear, it wasn't even close." Another detailed sighting came from Bob Strain, a retired firefighter who had his encounter in the Sierra Nevada mountains. "I saw it from about 80 yards away. It was walking on 2 legs, taller than any human I've ever seen, covered in dark brown hair. Its stride was effortless, almost fluid. It turned and looked at me for a moment, then disappeared into the trees. Ron Moorhead, known for capturing the famous Sierra Sounds, described something similar. "We didn't just see movement in the woods. We heard vocalizations, language like chatter I've never heard before. These weren't any animals I've ever known." Law enforcement officers have also stepped forward. One of the more compelling testimonies comes from David Polides, a former police officer and well-known Bigfoot researcher. He spoke with a retired sheriff in California who described his experience. "The sheriff told me he encountered a Bigfoot during a late-night patrol. It crossed the road in front of his vehicle, moving with a smoothness and speed no human could copy. He said, 'The way it moved, I knew it wasn't someone in a suit. It was alive.'" And while recent encounters grab attention today, the Bigfoot phenomenon is anything but new. For centuries, Native American tribes across North America have passed down stories of large, hairy, human-like beings living deep in the forests and mountains. Each tribe has its own name for them: Sasquatch among the Salish, Oma in Shoshone, Semiquas in Lummi, and many more. These beings were said to be guardians of the natural world, creatures living in harmony with the wilderness, usually steering clear of humans. Chief Dan George, a respected Canadian Indigenous leader, spoke openly about these beings in his people's oral history. "The Sasquatch is not a myth to us. It is part of our history, as real as the bear or the eagle. Our ancestors have seen them, and some still do. These beings are part of the land." Another striking account comes from a Northern Cheyenne elder who described his own encounter. "I saw it with my own eyes, tall, covered in hair, moving with a grace no man has. We've always known they're out there. They are our brothers of the forest, ancient and wise, but they walk their own path." For many Indigenous communities, Sasquatch is far more than just a creature. It's a symbol of the wild, untamed spirit of the land itself. Their stories, passed down through generations in ceremonies, oral traditions, and artwork, don't just add weight to modern sightings, they root the phenomenon in deep cultural history. And the Bigfoot mystery isn't limited to North America. Reports of similar creatures, known by many different names, appear in cultures all over the world. These global accounts vary in detail, but the similarities are impossible to ignore. Together, they suggest something bigger: the possibility that Sasquatch isn't just a local legend, but part of a much larger, still undiscovered species that spans continents. A man was out camping with his son at Salt Fork State Park when they noticed something strange: a dark figure moving quietly between the trees. At first, they thought it might be another camper, or maybe an animal. But as it got closer, it didn't move like either. The man quickly pulled out his phone and managed to capture this chilling footage. They left the park in a hurry, too scared to even think about going back. Later, the man uploaded the footage to his YouTube channel, H. Tauseg, asking viewers to help identify what they saw. The clip was stabilized, brightened, and zoomed in for a closer look, and it clearly showed a large bipedal figure moving through the trees. But even with all the enhancements, the video quality was too poor to reveal any real details, leaving everyone wondering what that creature really was. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we've got one of the most unbelievable Bigfoot sightings ever caught on camera. This new footage might just be the clearest and most chilling proof yet that something big is out there in the wild. Bigfoot has been spotted all across the northern hemisphere, especially in the Himalayas, the northwestern United States and western Canada, where most of the encounters happen. But this one stands out. It was captured by a group of Chinese tourists visiting a quiet park in Mission, British Columbia. What they caught on video that day shocked everyone, and it's still being talked about to this very moment. Stay tuned, because what you're about to see might just change the way you think about Bigfoot forever.
Sasquatch.
A furry, human-like creature was seen crouching beside a road deep in the woods, appearing to dig into the ground. A group of curious Chinese tourists noticed it and immediately started recording, completely unfazed, almost like they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The video quickly went viral, sparking a heated debate online. Some people insisted it was just a bear, while others were convinced it was a real Sasquatch. Either way, one thing's for sure. Whatever that creature was, it's not something you'd ever want to come face to face with alone in the woods. A homeowner began hearing strange noises outside and soon noticed odd footprints scattered all around the property.
We're now in the southwestern corner of the property. Allegedly, this is where the guy said he had the most activity. That remains to be seen. It's a little spooky, I guess. It's mostly just quiet. Apparently they're building a subdivision over that way. Huh. Oh. What the hell was that? Oh. Something walking. Oh, shh. Okay, all right. Okay.
Worried, the homeowner called someone to take a closer look at the property. The search led them to the southwestern edge of the land, an area where strange activity had been reported before. At first, everything seemed calm, almost too calm. Nothing appeared out of place except for some signs of nearby construction for a new housing development. Then suddenly something moved in the distance. From between the trees, a massive figure emerged, tall, broad, and covered in dark fur. Its glowing red eyes locked directly onto the observer. The sight was shocking, nothing like what anyone would expect to see on private property. The question that still lingers is whether this video was staged just for attention, or if the camera truly captured something mysterious wandering the land. The YouTube channel Voyager Overland focuses on the excitement of Jeep adventures, taking on rugged off-road trails, camping beneath the stars, and exploring untouched wilderness. Their videos often highlight breathtaking routes, stunning landscapes, and the hidden campsites they come across along the way. Earlier this summer, the creator set out on a family trip with his wife, grandfather, and grandchildren to the Ruby Falls Mountains in Alberta.
When I asked them where they wanted to go, they both said the same thing. They said, Ruby Falls! So I guess that's where we're heading.
When asked where they wanted to go, everyone agreed on the same destination: Ruby Falls. So that's where they headed. When they arrived, they found a great spot, parked the Jeep, set up a small campsite, and spent some time enjoying the waterfall before moving on to another area to camp again. At the new location, the creator set up a trail camera near their camp, hoping to catch some footage of local wildlife. But instead, the camera recorded something far more unsettling: a humanoid figure moving quietly through their campsite in the middle of the night. The figure appears to walk normally, stopping every so often as if it's scanning the area. What makes the footage especially strange is that the figure sometimes looks partly transparent, possibly because of motion blur, limited infrared lighting, or a mix of both. A researcher experienced with trail cameras and Bigfoot investigations said they'd never seen anything quite like it before. To study the footage more closely, filters were added to brighten the figure, and the image was enlarged by 150%. Even then, it still looks bizarre and difficult to explain. Encounters like this are extremely rare, a reminder that when you venture deep into the wild, you never really know what might be out there.